Hi, Stars. So, today on the Artist Advice series, the topic we're going to be discussing is complaining about a review. Yes, you heard me right. Complaining about a review. Is that not crazy? Is that concept super far fetched? I thought so. So, let's get right into it. So, when you submit a song or a project to a media source, uh, you should expect some constructive criticism. Absolutely. You might even see some negative feedback because, especially when you're starting out, sometimes you will get negative feedback. But it's not always so negative, it's more constructive criticism. You have to remember, media and bloggers are just regular people with regular opinions, and you may have put 15, 30, countless hours into a project to convey a certain message. At the end of the day, a media outlet is just another consumer. We're just consumers with a bigger platform and maybe some education or some background in our niche. So, when you submit a song or a project for review, you have to also take into consideration that this is a regular consumer. This is what consumers are going to feel as well. They may or may not feel the same, but more than likely, this is another consumer. You cannot get mad at someone for stating their opinion. You cannot get mad about criticism, constructive criticism. You cannot sit there and whine and reply back and say, "Well, you got everything wrong. This is what my intention was. I don't think you know what I'm talking about. You sound confused." Well, if somebody sounds confused, maybe your project was confusing. Maybe what you were trying to convey wasn't conveyed. You have to understand that a lot of media outlets, before they post a project, will sit with the project for a week, 2 weeks. They'll replay it over and over and over and consume it and completely dissect it. So, for somebody who just sat there and spent all this time dissecting your project and consuming your project, it's a little rude for you to say, "Well, you got it wrong." Well, maybe you didn't do it right. Just a thought. Maybe you should be more grateful that they still, even though they didn't understand your project the way that you wanted it, they still decided to post it because it was intriguing. At the same time, you're not always going to be able to pitch a project to people. An everyday consumer is not going to hear your pitch. They might just find your project online somewhere and consume it as is. They're not going to know that you used a hologram and a background camera and you superimpose this and that. An average consumer is 9 times out of 10, not even going to notice. If you've pitched it to a media outlet perfectly, an average consumer is not going to see it. The media outlet will probably be able to give that background text. If a consumer finds your project elsewhere outside of a media outlet, they're not going to see that you pitched it. So you have to truly just show your work more. Make sure that your work speaks for itself. Point blank, period. Nothing more, nothing less. Because at the end of the day, like I said, an average consumer is not going to know the difference. And then don't sit there and whine to a media outlet who used your pitch in the post. They put your description of what this is, maybe reworded it a bit so it doesn't, so it fits the outlet's voice, but you don't agree with their opinion. Their opinion is their opinion. If you didn't agree with their opinion, then maybe you shouldn't have submitted to that platform. You have to pick the right platforms that are going to support your music and going to understand your music. If it's not in your niche, then maybe don't submit there. But don't get upset and don't sit there and write back to them and badger them about how they got it wrong. Look, they took your pitch, they added it onto the post, and you just didn't like the opinion that they had on your song. There's not much you can do about that. You have to take the good with the bad. And you have to understand that even big name artists will get negative reviews from big media outlets. And they don't sit there and badger these media outlets like, oh, well, they don't know what they're talking about. They move on. They read the article, they take everything into account, and they move on. And that's what you got to learn how to do, is to take the positive and the negative. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this episode. So if you agree with me or disagree with me, leave a comment. If you want to spread the messages, share, subscribe, like, do all of that good stuff. Check me out on all social media at Melly Starz, and check out my website, www.mellystars.com, for more. And stay tuned, because these are coming more frequently. So if there's any topics you want me to discuss, let me know. Okay, bye, Stars.